Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Harlan County hosted its third annual drug summit with community members working together for a better future. And lawmakers in Frankfort are proposing a bill that would eliminate capital punishment forever in the Commonwealth.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. I'm Madison Carmouche. We are coming up on 5:33 this morning. Today is January 12th, 2024. Let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Madison, and good morning, everyone. Got another system that comes in as we head through your Friday. For those of you down in Harlan and Letcher County, it's deemed a high wind warning in effect until 5 o'clock tonight for wind gusts approaching, if not exceeding, just 60 miles per hour. Wind advisory, though, remains in effect for the rest of us through today, tonight, until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Temperature-wise, Hazard last check at 28, Manchester mid-20s. Take note of the warmer 40-degree readings coming in or checking in from the west because the cloud cover is also overspreading the region from the west. And we look back as you make your way toward Louisville and Paducah. This is where the heavy rainfall is going to be this morning. We will see our showers come up from Tennessee and come into play this morning before we get into the heavy stuff heading through this afternoon. And there's the cold stuff. Yeah, the cold air comes into play as we rock and roll tonight into tomorrow morning. All right, temps warm up very nicely, not mostly sunny. We'll ignore that. Showers develop mid to late morning, bursts of heavier rain this afternoon, a rumble of thunder, and a high in Hazard near 54. More about the First Alert 7-day forecast. Here comes the cold air, and it's going to be here for how long? We'll let you know in just a few moments. Madison, back to you.
Thank you, Tim. The third annual Harlan County Drug Summit was hosted at the Harlan Center yesterday. Several organizations got the chance to discuss actions they want to take against drug abuse. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox tells us how prevention is a point of emphasis.
Leaders speaking at the summit expressed their passion for preventing drug abuse, whether that be countrywide or countywide.
Washington, D.C. is not going to solve Harlan County problems. Harlan County is not going to be able to solve another county's problems. It's where every single community has to come together.
Mosley says they have received nearly $500,000 in opioid abatement money, giving them resources for several circumstances.
We have a lot of resources around treatment, recovery housing, long-term recovery, programs for people who have been in addiction. But there just hasn't been enough investment made in prevention.
Prevention at several levels. Officials are including the younger generation in the fight as well. Students from Operation Unite clubs in nearby schools came to the event.
Operation Unite is doing some amazing work with prevention in our schools,
giving students the chance to be leaders early on.
It's very special to me that I get to deliver other people information about the effects of drugs.
Blevins says their involvement has made an impact for students.
It's really nice for everybody to know, especially in school, about how it can affect not only them, but the people around them.
Working together to prevent drug abuse. In Harlan County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Harlan County Judge Executive Dan Mosley also says the summit keynote speaker will be talking to students at Harlan High School and Harlan County High School today. One person is dead after a two-vehicle crash. It happened yesterday evening on the southbound ramp on exit 41 getting off of I-75. A person driving a semi-truck was hit in the back by someone driving a Chevy Equinox. The driver of the Equinox, 88-year-old Michael Powers of Michigan, was pronounced dead at the scene by the Laurel County coroner. The passenger, 86-year-old Shirley Powers, also of Michigan, was airlifted to UK hospital with serious injuries. One person is dead also after a crash in Buchanan County, Virginia. The crash happened around 11:30 Monday morning on Route 83. A minivan was heading south on the route when it went into a curve before crossing the center line and striking an SUV head on. The driver of the minivan, 72-year-old Stella R. Blankenship, was taken to the hospital where she died due to injuries sustained from the crash. Lawmakers in Frankfort are weighing a bill that would mark the end of the death penalty in the Commonwealth. Representative James Tipton says a corrections impact statement filed last year found there to be approximately $26,000 in savings for each of the current 26 death row inmates to instead serve life sentences without parole. Another co-sponsor, Republican Representative Nancy Tate, says she had a change of heart on the issue as well.
I was a determined supporter of capital punishment. And so they asked me to think about it and pray about it, because their point was that they've never seen anyone that was as pro-life as I was. And so they were like, you know, Nancy, that's a contradiction of terms.
The 2024 legislative session is currently underway in Frankfort, and we have already seen several bills introduced, one being every Kentuckian would no longer be allowed to vote early in person. This is under a bill that's been filed in the General Assembly. 5 Republicans have signed on to co-sponsor Senate Bill 61. It would eliminate no excuse early voting like we have seen in election cycles since 2020. Kentucky's Secretary of State, also a Republican, is very much against it. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what's in the bill and how, if passed, it would impact you.
COVID-19 changed the way a lot of people did a lot of things. Voting was expanded across several days, and Kentucky kept that change. But some believe Election Day should return to its traditional roots.
This bill is about making voting special again and giving it the respect that it deserves.
Senator Schickel is joined by co-sponsors who want to do away with the no-excuse early voting. If Senate Bill 61 passes, not everyone would be able to vote the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before Election Day.
And one of the bad things we opened the door to is giving the message that somehow voting is this casual thing that you do. You know, you can vote from the couch, or there's really no responsibility to voting.
There's nothing magic about Election Day. The magic is the election itself. If voting is special, then let's have more voting. Let's have more participation.
The bill still allows early voting 13 days prior in a county clerk's office, but certain requirements would have to be met first.
Well, if you read through the bill, every scenario I can think of is covered: employment, illness, military.
Would not just change.
Adams says early voting is popular. Something that isn't broken should not be fixed.
When I voted in 2016 for president, I waited in line for 3.5 hours. And I'm the kind of guy that's willing to do that, but not every voter is. And there were several people behind me that just said, forget it, and walked off. And
he says if the bill passes, Kentucky will be ridiculed nationally for allowing early voting and then taking it away. Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
A Kentucky organization is making steps to push lawmakers to strengthen gun laws. Advocates for a Safer Kentucky, or ASK, met yesterday morning in Frankfort. They're teaming with Whitney Strong, the organization founded by mass shooting survivor Whitney Austin. ASK is using stories like Austin's to urge lawmakers to help prevent gun tragedies in the Commonwealth.
Each life lost to gun violence is a profound tragedy, a future extinguished, and a void that can never be filled. After every tragedy, we look to our politicians to make us safer, and we ask them to pass laws that would prevent more tragedy.
The ASK network is not making specific demands, only that lawmakers will lose voters if they don't take action to improve gun safety. When we return on Mountain News this morning, Star Trek could be returning to the big screen soon after years of revitalizing its TV show.
That looks really cool. And meanwhile, the pinpoint Doppler radar here across eastern and southern Kentucky, quiet right now. Out to the west, tracking showers and steadier rain We'll time out the incoming rain hour by hour. Your first Alert 7-day forecast coming up.